welcome to a special edition of Outside the Box. Well, we're going to call this one Special Edition Riegel Exchange with special guest Lawrence. He's going to be talking to us tonight about the Riegel Exchange and also special guest fresh from his premiere show from last night, the one, the only, Santo Bonacci. How are you guys doing tonight?
Well, thanks.
Go ahead.
I'm doing great, Kate. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, don't be shy. Not with me. Holy. Anyway, what a day. Yeah, we'll get into that in the second hour. I guess you're going to be joining us for the first hour, Lawrence, and then I guess Santo and I will go off on a little tangent for the second bit. And I guess Santo and I are doing a little video thing later tonight as well. So we got our, later in the afternoon for Santo, later tonight for me. But, yeah.
I can't hear you, Kate.
Can you hear me now? Still,
no, I can't hear you. It's just one big...
You're breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up pretty badly, Kate. I understood what you said because I could just understand it, but it is barely understandable. Have another go now.
Okay, so let's see if we can get this any better. Anyway, so hopefully
that's better. That's better.
A little better. Get the energy flowing. Try to clean my space. It's been one hell of a day here. Anyway, yeah, Lord, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah. Go. You're good now.
Fairly good, yeah.
Better. Okay, awesome. Well, for those newly tuned into this this time slot on Blog Talk, this is Freedom Range Radio on Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia. And Lawrence, if you could, just a brief overview of what the Riegel Exchange is, and we'll get into specifics afterwards, but a general overview for those that have never heard of the Riegel Exchange.
Okay, I got the first part, Kate, about the brief overview. Couldn't understand the last part, so you can get me on the rest of that momentarily. The Riegel Monetary Exchange System is something that I began on back in mid-2006 after approximately 3 or 4 years of intensive research and study into monetary theory and history. During that time, I came across the works of one individual man named E.C. Riegel, and if you go to my website, riegelexchange.com, you can download and read his works there. And he was a visionary, and there's been a number of modern-day people have expressed that, even though they haven't been willing to let go of the system, so to speak, So I looked and looked for the last 2 years, well, through 2004 and 5, or at least 2005, and for about 2 years up to mid-2006, I looked for someone who had come out with, because it was so clear-cut what Mr. Riegel taught. I mean, it was just it's like flipping a switch between daylight and dark, And so I searched diligently for someone that was bringing his works forward so that I could participate and help, because it was just so real about what he taught, the connection between what he termed the money power, the power to issue and create and control money, and liberty and freedom. He has postulated that this fact, the power to issue or control, or create and control money, was the epitome of our freedom because of its harking back to the very basic foundation of liberty and freedom. Of contractual rights, our ability to exchange freely between our fellow man without some third-party interloper interfering in our decisions and choices. And so anyway, I didn't find anyone. I found there's just hundreds and hundreds of so-called alternative currencies, movements, but while they're working in a right direction, many of them are, they all neglect some of the most foundational principles that Mr. Riegel established as absolutes. And so by mid-2006, I determined that, well, somebody's got to do this, so, I'm going to do it. I started researching software and to run this with and one thing or the other, and I found that a world-class alternative banking software that can completely be coded to work with everything that the Riegel is founded upon and functions upon. And I put this live in early 2000. Well, I began the site early 2007, and I took it live with the first functional model of the software that runs it in summer 2007. And I did this for about 5 months because it's very expensive. And the fact was people just wasn't ready for it yet. Not like they're beginning to be today because of the incredible financial turmoil around the world that's happened since 2007. So I had to close it down. I couldn't afford to do all this by myself at the time. But it did prove that it would work and was fully functional, and it's much more so today, as we may touch on later. But the Riegel monetary system is simply a system that separates the money power from bankers and political control. It's an apolitical monetary system. And the reason for that is that government, because of its taxation power and its position that it holds within the whole community, it cannot issue money. It cannot have credit. If it does, it will always pervert it either through monetary corruption and fraud that way, which is like a hidden tax upon the people, or it must get into private business and overtake the private enterprise which alone should remain among the people. So the Riegel system, the Riegel Monetary and Exchange System, I call it the RMES for short, is about bringing forward a monetary system that for the first time in history will allow people to issue and control their own money within a free enterprise, a private enterprise, a free market environment. And it accepts the third-party banking elite, which had interest, which is unpayable because it's never created. And it excludes government from being able to create money. It can use it once it's already created, but it cannot create it. And this takes away all inflation. It takes away the booms and busts. It takes away all the evils of our society, which we've been told is part and parcel of and necessary and just normal cycle. So that's all BS. It is not. It's all part of the system that exists today. So basically that's what we're efforting to do now. And it's quite, again, that's the basics of it, and I'd like to answer any questions I can and discuss it, and I invite people to call in. If I can't answer it, we'll, which I don't know at all, for sure, and we'll find the answers. But that's where I'm at on that so far, Kate. Are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for that moment, and there it is. For those who do want to call in, you can call us at area code 714-868-0749. And I think one of the things that has really come to the fore in the last little while, and I think you and Santo can agree with this, is that people are finally awakening to how money has been created over the last, 100 or so years, right out of thin air from the banks. It's been longer than that, but I'm just keeping it real for people. But the amount of power that gets transferred away from the people once the banks are allowed to act as, judge, jury, executioner of all monetary instruments. And, when you put the power of creating money out of thin air with a third-party interloper, which is all a bank is. They're the ones that get between And of course,
absolutely.
as you said, there are no 11 marbles in a 10 marble jar. When they create $100 in the bank, they don't create the 10% interest. Let's say, if it was 10 marbles being borrowed from the bank, they want you to pay back 11, which is completely impossible. Any 5-year-old can tell you that. That's just a big marble, and you treat it differently. Any child would know that. And this is exactly why we've gotten into the mess that we're in. And it's by our own ignorance, by our own acquiescence, by our own willingness to use, bank-issued, which they all, Federal Reserve notes are all private bank corporate checks with 2 signatures on them, and that's only meant for use between intergovernmental departments because it was the government that borrowed that into existence on the full faith and credit of the people, which we all know now started at birth, where everyone was born with the original sin, born in slavery, by virtue of this system. So anything that replaces that would be a very good thing. So,
Absolutely.
Can you give us maybe an example of the Riegel exchange, the monetary exchange system in use, an everyday type of transaction between a couple of parties? Let's say there's a community that's using it. How would that community interact using this?
I'm just now understanding what you said. I didn't get any of that prior to it. I am really having a hard time hearing you.
It's normal. Welcome to Skype. We'll call it skating. Skating with Kate.
Right.
Yeah. So just an overview of how, say, a small community working, because we'll go small and work our way out into a regional thing, but how a small community would use the Riegel monetary and exchange system. Go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. The beauty of this, of what we're wanting to trying to bring forward here with the Riegel system, is that everyone can relate to it very quickly and easily. And once you understand what money is, that it's just information that's that is representative. All it is showing an incomplete exchange. That's all money is. It's information that records that process, which I'll explain a little bit more in a few minutes. But the function, how it functions, is very much like most people are familiar with today. We can have you can use checks. We can use a form of currency, paper, if we wish or need to, especially in a local deal. You can use credit cards. I mean, not credit cards, but you can use like debit cards directly to your account, and we can even call it in with SMS. And eventually, there's point of exchange machines. The whole thing is very similar to what we're using today. And the reason is that money has gone through an evolution. Where we're wanting to take it today is another step higher. And where we need to take it, and absolutely need to take it today, is another step higher. But the system today functions very much the same. What is different is what most people will not ever even see. And that is the fact that there's no interest, there's no debt, and there's nobody limiting you. Money today is scarce by design. It is designed to be scarce so that it keeps people striving to get somewhere and believing that they can. After all, we're the land of the free. You can, the power to get rich is always put before us that there's no end to what we can do if we just set our mind to it. Well, it's, for a few people that's so. But for most people, it is an impossibility because of the very design of the present system. It's designed to keep the majority of people enslaved because why? Because they do not allow you to create the money that you're capable of creating. And at the same time, when debt is created, then you're literally turned into competitors fighting amongst yourselves to gather something out of the money pool to pay something back that is never put into the money pool. When they created debt, they did not create the money to go with it. So there you have a debt, a growth imperative built within the present system. We don't have any of that with the Riegel monetary exchange system or any proper monetary system. And I want to point out here, this doesn't have to be the Riegel system. There can be any number of competing. Anyone can bring this forward and call it anything they want. And I'm not trying to build something here for me or because I've named it the Riegel Monetary and Exchange System or named the unit the Riegel after Mr. E.C. Riegel to honor this incredible man. I'm trying to bring something forward that nobody else has, that has to be founded on absolute monetary principles that Mr. Riegel established like nobody in history ever has before or since. So with our current system, Kate, like in a community, you're going to, with barter, you have, I have an apple and my neighbor may have a pig. Well, that's not a very equal exchange, and very few times will such occur that someone's going to agree to trading an apple for a pig. It's just, I'm not saying it can't be, but it's not likely, And but so you have a blockage there. Well, all money is, it takes it beyond simple barter. A monetary transaction is still very much barter, but it's what Riegel called in terms of split barter. It means that, say, I come up to you and you have a cow for sale, and you're trying to sell that cow. Well, if I have established myself in the community, the trading community, as being a trustworthy man, you've heard the saying, a man's word is his bond. This is the original credit. This has been the most sought-after thing in the history of mankind up until the modern perverted monetary system, where people have been taken away from those truths and absolutes that were historically always there. And so I come up to you and I say, my credit has been established as being legitimate. People know that I'm a hard worker, that I continually to reciprocate. In other words, I don't just buy. I also make things or provide services, goods or services, back into the community. So I walk up to you and I buy your cow. And I create money in that instant by providing you with a monetary instrument. Now, that monetary instrument can be paper. It could be gold or silver. It could be anything. But gold or silver, again, are not money in the sense of what real money is. It could be, calling into the community exchange there and simply sliding a card or giving them my number or whatever by phone or whatever, But I give you a record, in other words, of the fact that you sold me value, that I received value, and you haven't. Now, you can take that credit, which is all that is a credit to your account and a debit to mine. And now you can take that and you can go into the community and buy anything you want to with that money at any point in time in the future of whatever good or service that you're seeking when you find it. And at the same moment, then, I have an obligation as having created money. I have a duty and obligation to reciprocate it at some point in time by providing a good or service back into the community for that much that I created. And then when I do that, that money is canceled out. It's redeemed. It ceases to exist. But in the meantime, that money can pass through people using it for any number of times until I redeem it. It's just like, for example, you can have 10 people just visualize a circle, and I owe, let's say I owe some money to person number one over here. Well, I take and I write them a check for that amount of money, and then they get that check. Well, they owe the next number two, and it goes around the room. I buy something from the first person, I create the money, they take that and they say, oh, I owe number two over here this much money, so I'm going to go take it over there, and they sign it off to them. That individual says, well, hey, I owe, this will be a part of what I owe number three, and it goes around full circle the same way, and then it gets down to the ninth person over here, or 10th person, making a circle back towards me, and they have something that I want to buy for that much money. Well, I buy it, I get my check back, and that money is redeemed. This whole number of people, 9 other people in between have used it. And that's all money is. That's all money is. It's information that can be used by any number of people, but it's created and redeemed. And that same process takes place today in our present system, but we're not aware of it. But it's very much manipulated. Interest is tagged on at every hand and corner, and it's now, you all teach, there's bonds involved in the whole process. Because why? Because government and bankers have created a gigantic, enormous, corrupt, fraudulent monetary system that benefits them and their elite families, and they rape and pillage from us in the process.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate tonight because I really want to get to the nitty-gritty of what the Riegel's all about. I had a conversation a couple of years ago with an individual with a quote perfected or mathematically perfected monetary system, and he didn't last 5 minutes before I had him stumped with something. So I'm going to bring up the same concepts, and I'm just curious to see how we can work our way through it. It's not designed to stump. It's just these are genuine concerns within a community.
Right.
Okay, and again, this is about not having a disparity or an unequal aspect within a community where some people would have favor over others based on certain things, maybe the things they're selling, because not everybody needs a wheelbarrow, but everybody needs a cow or to eat, right? So I'll just try to get into some of these, but the one that really was always the first question with me, with regards to this other guy's system was using promissory notes and what have you, and a lot of the stuff is still based on old system thinking.
Right.
So I want to bring this to the table. What in terms of Riegel monetary exchange system, what comes into play in the case of someone, let's say, that is physically or mentally disabled?
Okay, and that's a very... Pardon? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do they fit into this equation in terms of I think I don't even need to say it. You already know where I'm going. So so if you could expand on that, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do the best I can here.
Okay.
There is and this won't be happy great with everybody, but
it is what it is.
People, it is what it is. Yes. We have lost under our present system the compassion that has always been a part of our very humanity. So I'm going to qualify my answer with this statement first, okay? Because I want this to get out there before it sounds like I'm just don't have compassion for people. I truly do. I have a sister that's totally disabled and has been since a car wreck as a child, mentally disabled and physically both, but especially mentally. And so I'm very concerned. But we have turned over our rights for taking care of our people and our family and our neighbors, people in our neighborhood, to the state. And they do a piss poor job of it, and we lose our compassion as human beings for our fellow man has been lost in the process to a great degree. The monetary system the Riegel, a system such as the Riegel, it has its limitations. It's not a do-all and be-all for everything and everybody. The whole foundational principle of this, as it has always been is that, and should have been at least, is that everybody has different potential, different skill sets. We come into this world with different skill sets, just as much as some of us come into this world with disabilities. And what the Riegel does, because of its foundational principles, is it allows anyone and everyone to be able to do and develop to their potential as far as what they do, their skill sets, using their skill sets, and such things. They're not rewarded, it's just a matter of being able to trade. Somebody, if you have, if you just keep it to like a little small few people and like a caveman type deal if you want to, you have somebody disabled and they can't work or do certain things, then the community pulls together and takes care of those people. In our present system, we are not allowed to do that. In our present system, we're struggling just to survive ourselves, more and more so all the time, by design, at an ever-increasing rate. We can barely feed ourselves for a great majority of the people in this country, for a large majority at least, if not a great, but let alone take care of others. And in many cases we're precluded because of all the statutory bullshit. But what the Riegel does is allow people to create the money, to do the business of the trades and exchanges according to their ability. There is no one has any inside track or ability to manipulate, to say give greater credit to this individual or less credit to those bunch of individuals or anything like that. Again, it harkens back to the age-old saying of a man's word is his bond, and a woman's word is their bond too. It's just, our word is our bond. And you gain respect of the community by the fact that you keep your word, that you function as a member of your community, whether it's your function from the local or international or whatever, and you're able to do business accordingly. This allows, today, Kate, when all is said and done, we pay out of all that an average worker creates, we pay out somewhere between 85 to 90% of our wealth creation into some form of taxes or hidden taxes or inflation. It's stolen from us. We're robbed. And the government takes the great majority of that to themselves and the bankers to purchase real assets and things. And then a small percentage of that is used to do the things that we would and could do if we had full value provided to us in our daily business functions. We've lost family, we've lost community because of the fraudulent system. The Riegel system will allow people to be taken care of. One of the basic and foundational principles of this, as I've touched on, is that you create money when you buy something. The other side of the coin the other point of that is that you have to be someone that creates money, has to be able to provide equivalent value. In other words, you have to be someone that functions in the community as providing goods or services back. That's what creates money, and that's what allows money to be redeemed or canceled out. So even my sister, she can't speak or talk. She's severely handicapped, but even she, in the system in the school that she's in now, even she has jobs, little jobs that she works on several days a week, and she makes money. And, it's just extraordinary to me. We have been also conditioned as a people, our creativity has been stifled and shut down, so that we work in jobs and things for big corporate people that make millions of dollars a year salaries at the top, while the people struggle to barely survive. It's not an equal deal at all. And the Riegel will change all of that. It'll allow for love to come forward. People will function according to their capabilities fully, their potential. It's going to free up time. So many things. You know, we have an age of technology and industrialization that's taken place over the last 100 years. And people back in the, studies done back in the 60s proclaimed that by the year 2000, because of the advances in technology, that people wouldn't have to work a fraction as long, not a whole work week, to make the same amount of money because of these technological advances. Well, the very opposite has happened because of the debt, compounding debt that's built into the monetary system. And yet this is very seldom even touched on, And so these are all these things that preclude us from caring about other people and helping and providing for them is going to be canceled out just by the use and establishment of a system such as the Riegel monetary system.
No, excuse me. Yeah, I totally get that. And again, what we're dealing with here is a much more compassionate, much more altruistic look at society. And some, of course, will argue that mankind most certainly isn't ready for that. Some of us are, and some of us aren't. Where those that have the compassion and can see things in the team play aspect, things get a lot different. And if we go a bit ethereal on this, the more we correct ourselves in the physical actions that we do through our spiritual intent on this planet and reclaiming our own who we are, things like accidents and what have you, and the kind of defects that have been occurring, either through, like in your sister's case, a car accident, or through a birth defect, whatever, begin to minimalize because we are, our Earth is simply a mirror of the overall energetic of the consciousness. And that's one of the things that is starting to shift up. And a good example is no World War III this year, and they've been ramping it up forever trying to get this thing going, but it ain't going to happen, not on my watch. But and again, yeah, it's that. Then that's something else too. Just to put that out there for people. An electron is, in terms of energies, which is what we are, changes direction. It is consciousness. An electron is and atoms and electrons are consciousness, and upon observation, actually change. That's one of the reasons why everyone that's along the East Coast of the United States, anyone that's listening in from New York, Maine, or whatever up that whole coast area, instead of focusing on CNN and them ramping up the energy that they're stealing from you to their harp, put a nice picture of a very calm beach on your computer screen and stare at that for the next few hours, and watch the energy of the storm abate. This is what happens because only with the attention that people are putting on things do these things manifest to a lesser or greater degree. So anyway, and that's one of the things. Let's get back to the Riegel here. When we focus on a positive community, my idea of a positive community is one where eventually not even the Riegel exchange system is needed, where it becomes a community gifting, where everyone knows how to take care of everyone else, and no one has to worry about going hungry and what have you. Yeah, because the only problem I find with any sort of a monetary system whatsoever, once it is removed in terms of one good to another, some goods in people's eyes would be deemed more valuable, and if someone's dealing in something that's more valuable all the time, there's also the risk of getting that out of balance, where someone ends up getting more and more credit. So we still end up with that caste type system of the have mores and the have lesses, not the have and the have nots. I'm just curious about Santo, if you want to jump in on this concept and just get your opinion on it.
Riegel system sounds fantastic. I have heard of other systems, but the ability to make your own money is beautiful. That's a great transitional concept, or till we learn how to just everything will be provided, when that true world comes. But sounds awesome. I'm just so inspired by this. I really am. I'm enjoying this. It's giving me so many great ideas and just so many great thoughts. It's very, very positive because that's what we should be able to do, create our own money. I come over to your place, buy a whole heap of potatoes that you've so carefully grown, and I don't have any carrots because my carrots didn't grow this year. So here's a piece of paper and there's my signature. Everybody in the community knows me. I'm a good person and I've never failed in my promises. Here's my promise. This is what I owe you, the equivalent of a sack of potatoes. And the banksters came along, didn't they? Because they saw us. We were sitting ducks, really. They saw us from a mile away, sleeping, trusting, gullible, kind, and they inserted their little fiction man, and they've been laughing all the way to the bank ever since.
Totally, I tell you, and I won't. I agree with exactly what you both have said, and Kate. I know, and I have known for many, many years, that eventually we're not going to need anything like this. That's where we're headed, and I don't want to limit that by saying what I'm going to say, but I'm looking at it. I call myself an optimistic realist. Okay.
Yeah, and, that's exactly how we need to be.
Right, and we oftentimes we get caught up so much that we think, many times throughout history, you'll see that people think, well, wow, this is going to happen right now. It's just much like some friends that I've talked to for years about that it's all ending next week. And I'll say, sorry, the powers that be haven't reached their next stage of their Hegelian dialectic yet, okay? We don't have all the pieces in the puzzle put in place yet for the next level, so don't worry, just chill. But we think that oftentimes that, it's going to happen today. Well, this is the time of real change, and it's speeding up, and it is happening. I totally agree that there's going to come a time that we're going to be there. As to whether it's going to happen in a flash or over a period of time, I don't know. If it's going to go from point A to point Z, like, flipping a switch, I don't know. I tend to feel, based upon what I felt since I was a child, of 5 or 6 years old, when I didn't even know what words meant, things that came to me then, and ever since, that there's a need for this. I was told that I would see, when I was a child, I was told that I would see the changes. I knew things were wrong, and I had never even watched the TV or read anything about any of this. I was just a child, maybe 5 years old, or 6 at the latest. And I was told that I would live to see balance restored to this earth before I passed. I didn't even know what balance was at all. But that's a focal point in my life, is things are out of balance, and that they must get back into balance. And I was also told that I would be a part of bringing that into play. And whether that's to be or not, I spend my life waiting and wondering, and I got to the point at one time I said, God, I'm not getting no younger here. What's happening, Are you going to use me to help bring balance and peace and love and harmony to this earth, or not? And it wasn't long till this whole money, just a short while, till all of a sudden out of the blue, this, it's like, ding, there it is. It's the money. This is their tool of power, of enslavement. Of all the tools that they use, this is their most powerful one. Because why? Because it supersedes it supersedes race, color, political inclinations, geographical things, and all this. This is the one thing that everybody has in common to some degree, just about in the modern world at least. And it's also the one thing that can unite humanity, because today we all have this in common, or most all of us do, and it's so many times they have preempted us on everything that good that could come forward through science and spiritual knowledge and things. They've preempted us and taken us off over and over and over and over again off into la la land, into something totally in opposition to truth and what's right, so that they can exploit us and benefit us and keep us enslaved. And it's time those things change. It's just time it changes. And so I see the truth that Mr. Riegel brought forward, modernized to our times, as being the answer, the one thing that can disempower more than anything else the powers that be. And because it will take their power away from them and put it squarely in the hands of the people in a democratic process that will allow the very best possible situation to arise and to exist and to occur. So that's where I come from in this, and I pray constantly that, that we don't even have to have this. I would have loved to see it happen and change in a flash, and it is possible, but I don't know that, so it's given to me to help bring these truths that Mr. Riegel began and worked for 25, 30 years on back in the early to mid 1900s. To help in a humanity, because when you realize what you're just using the Riegel system, most people will never understand what's going on in the background, and they don't even need to. They just want to be able to live their life in peace and know that things are going to be the same as regards money or in their value that they created or purchased or received, that they sold when they go into the market, that it's going to be pretty close to the same thing, however long down the road it is. And that's what the Riegel provides for, because there's no corruption to it.
Okay, well, we got a few questions here. I just want to kind of get some questions in here for you. Where was it? Okay, if this is done in the local areas, it's kind of hard to barter from a distance unless it is office work or something of that nature. One of the things I will say in this regard, office work, as far as office work is concerned, produces nothing. It can be useful for some things, but that's what's happened to our society, in that so many people are just pushing paper around every day that has no value, and they constantly take from the system. There are going to be, some very valuable people needed, but in a very, very simplistic way to keep track of things like this.
Right.
But again, my only concern there is if there are banks involved in this, because you know what they're like. They're going to figure out something to screw the people over. So just going with the local area, it's kind of hard to barter from a distance. So what are your feelings on that? And I got a couple more questions as well.
Sure. Okay. Well, what we're wanting to do here as soon as possible is we'll be bringing forward a live working, fully functional demo. It just won't be real trades and exchanging, taking place. But so far as what it appears in the program, it will be just like that. But if you can imagine going onto eBay and buying a product and then paying for it and having it shipped to you, then that's pretty much the limitations of the Riegel system. It can function within the local community, and that's where it really will shine, because it helps keep money in the community and to be used over and over. So therefore, it's just a really positive thing. But at the same time, any level of business that is done today can be done with the Riegel system, business to business, consumer to consumer, business to consumer, or whatever. All the possibilities are there within this system. The software exists to run all of this. I've test run it on the original versions. The ones that are out there now are super highly encrypted banking software, just as much as anything in use today by the banks. And it is totally functional and is able to be designed to do everything the Riegel needs to do as far as such things as this.
Okay, that's fair enough. And just a lot of good comments in the room here. Okay, what do we got? Yes, indeed, one of the many. We do need to get back to our own backbone, and yes, always help others. It's what you do, and we can do it. Absolutely. What was the other one here? There was another question. Okay, this is from Boss Me Jim. If someone owns a company, how will that work for the employees? Let's say we won't call them employees, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll call them shareholders. How's that?
Well, actually, that's a good point, Kate, what you mentioned there, because as the Riegel comes forward, there's going to be a transition. There's going to be a lot of things. It's not going to be fully functional because everything is so screwed up. It's not going to be provide all the wonders that it can do immediately for everybody. Mm-hmm. But as far as a company, what was I lost the question again. Just a second here.
Yeah, that's okay. No, if someone owns a company.
Yeah, someone owns a company. Yeah. How will that work for the employees? Okay. Well, here's the thing. As an employee, you're selling your abilities to create something of value. And your employer, the owner of the company, or whatever, he's buying that from you. Okay? So you're going to get paid, say, in Riegels, but the company, depending upon its, whether it's a mom-and-pop company, and I don't want to get into deep specifics here because it could get confusing to people listening to this for the first time. There are different levels of people within a Riegel monetary system of necessity, like the government I mentioned earlier. They can't have the credit to create money. Okay?
Lawrence, just one sec. Santo, yes. Take the helm. I've got to go move my car. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Continue, Lawrence. Thanks.
Okay. So, where was I at here? The employees. Back to the employees and the bosses. The company is actually, if they have credit power, the power to issue and create money, then the company would be creating money in the act of paying you because you're a seller. You're a seller to them of your ability to function as a unit to work for them. You're selling your ability to do whatever it is that you do as an employee. You're a seller and the company is a buyer. Well, for small businesses, mom-and-pop businesses, things of this nature, they will have the purchasing power. They will have the money power, the power to issue the money to their employees. But at big businesses, it's going to be a different story. I don't want to get into a whole lot of this. It's confusing. But I don't know if I exactly answered the question to this individual. If I missed something, maybe you could help me out, Santos. But
no, that's pretty thorough. that was pretty good. I think you covered it all. What
we want to do here is we need to realize that big corporations have taken over because of their position with the bankers. Many of the big corporations are subsidiaries of the families of the big bankers, especially the bigger ones, and they're connected to the banking families of the world. And they have a form of monopoly, if not absolute monopolies, in that they have things that are not, they have the capacity to access money, credit, and things because of who they are that the little man doesn't have, the man on the street doesn't have. What we're going to see happening with the Riegel eventually is big corporations that's going to take its place at fair level, if they exist at all, with the small businesses of the world and people that want to create, to be self-employed and have their own business will be able to do exactly that and compete in the marketplace, which helps keep prices stable. Instead of prices going from $4 a gallon today because of market manipulation and the fact that the big oil and gas companies have their position and nobody else can compete with them, or small drillers, and $1.50, next week, or $2 next week. All this is going to change. Price stability will be a reality once again. So you'll see over the coming years, once the Riegel begins to take place, you'll see fairness established once again. Today, a small farmer cannot compete with big corporations. For one thing, he's penalized and taxed and has to do all this red tape. The corporations don't have that. They also get subsidized, and the little man doesn't, unless it benefits the government to pay him something now and then to keep him little.
Yeah,
all these things are going to change.
I was going to say that's where I jump in, only because this is exactly what I'm afraid of with regards to someone starting to get a monopoly on any particular cornering of the market. So I don't see where it's going to eliminate corporatism and ultimately greed. So, and I told you I'm going to play devil's advocate because I kind of want to get people really thinking about this.
Well, I don't know if you was there when you heard me saying, Kate, that most of your big corporations will not, at any point in time, will not have the money-creating power. So they can't create money, so therefore they can't gain an unfair advantage. They'll be precluded from that aspect. They will have to use money that's already created. I
realize that. What I'm getting at is, someone that, I'm thinking more along the lines of if someone has starts to corner a particular market in something that's very popular with people, and as a net result starts gaining more and more wealth. Do you see where I'm going here? I'm trying to find where the balance can be found in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, for one thing, you have to realize that to date we have never really had a true free market or private enterprise exist. Okay? So we most definitely have got to have some changes in government. Riegel said that there's two things in life that people strive for constantly more than anything else, and that is, one, how to prosper, and two, how to govern government. Well, we cannot, what he proved with all of his work was that we can't prosper because of the fraudulent monetary system in the first place, and we cannot govern government because we have turned over to them the very thing that precludes them from ever being a subject to us. We've given them credit. And so these are things that will be changed and have to be changed. When we have it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. We're at that point, What do we want? Do we want liberty, freedom, peace, harmony, balance, or do we not? Do we want to? Are we ready, or is humanity ready to step up and take personal responsibility? When we are, and if we get to that point, when we get to that point, then the Riegel system will be the tool that will allow us to govern government and prosper and be in balance. And there's no shortcut to that reality. We cannot have it as long as government controls us. And we can't control government until we own and use our own God-given money power.
Oh, yeah, I definitely can agree with that. I actually, for any of the callers that have called in and are on hold right now, if you do want to ask any questions, just hit 1 on your keypad. And I do have one caller here, Cynthia. that she was asking me stuff, i.e. the time dollar and time bank concept or whatever. So better her to ask you, because I don't know anything about that, and I avoid money at all costs. Obviously. Anyway, so Cynthia, go ahead.
Yes, I have been familiar with time bank and time dollar, and each location is entirely independent and grassroots, although they may use a similar software program. And I assume that there are some technical differences, as well as, let's say, for example, time bank, it's perceived as being service only, but it's assumed that it could also be applicable to, as they say, material objects as well.
Right.
But I was wondering what the differences may be to, as they say, your database or your system.
Again, it's I've looked at all of the other alternative currencies over about a several-year period there, and many of those that have come forth since then, and they're all headed in the right direction, in that they allow the people, or many of them do at least, allow the people to create the money in the moment. What they have not done, most of them fail to recognize, is the position of government having the final issue of a national currency. They all fall short of a separation of money and government. They want to go parallel, and they're all designed to function as a complementary currency primarily, or most of them are. And none of them have the aspirations to realize that, this is never really going to go anywhere other than just a local community. The Riegel monetary system, because of its foundational premises and its relationship to liberty and freedom, has the potential to be a worldwide currency. And this is the distinction and difference. We recognize here that the monetary system itself, to have any effect upon our world affairs today, and to have any effect upon our liberty and freedom, has got to extend to the point that it separates the money power from government. Government cannot have credit, and the Riegel monetary system has all of those things built into it. And no one that I have found wants to go there and acknowledge that. It's like we've been told so long that government has to have the power to create and, have to issue and manage money creation, that it's a given in most people's minds. They get scared when they think, oh my God, we have to do this. It's fear. We've got to quit being fearful. Look at the facts.
Yeah, I
and
can tell you why.
Determine that. Yes, ma'am.
It's because they've lost the knowledge that originally money was in fact anything. And because of the generations of the government issued, as they used to be greenbacks, is now with no value, it's because of the generations of indoctrination.
Absolutely. What we must work towards, we first have to see the truth of what money is and is not. Then we have to determine upon ourselves to take responsibility for ourselves and realize that the money power is ours. It's a part of natural law that goes back to the very beginning of time, of humanity and mankind, where we go to our neighbors and do something, trade, barter. And as technology, it was like I said, we've gone through stages, and money has gone through evolution because of the evolution of our technological prowess in one thing or the other. It's not all bad. I think technology is wonderful, but it's been co-opted and perverted, as everything else in just about history. well, these things need to change, but until we have the money power in our hands and the commitment of personal responsibility to go with it, nothing will change. We could have all the gold in the world given back to us today or tomorrow. And in a short while, if we don't, in that same step and process, take the money power to ourselves, in a short while we'll be right back where we are today. Nothing will change. As long as we allow someone else to do what we must do, nothing will ever change. So I hope that's helped a little bit.
Oh, totally, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah, again, I just it all boils back to changing the fundamental basics of the system. One of the questions in the room, I think, is an extremely valuable one. What happens to those that don't hold their word on the barter? Because here's the problem where I see it coming in. Again, devil's advocate. If someone doesn't hold their word on the barter, now we're coming back into the old system of, judge, jury, executioner system. Then we're resetting up the same sort of nonsense system that's out there fleecing the people right now. So I just want to know what's going to be different about that.
Absolutely. Of absolute necessity, because of the fact that most people today are so indoctrinated, and that if the Riegel began tomorrow with the government sanction, I wish, people are not ready to, unless and until people's minds change, there's going to be this very thing. It's going to be much greater at the beginning. And of necessity,
different animal.
The credit, of necessity, the credit that's allotted to people will have to be monitored at the beginning. Now, you take, as I mentioned earlier, Kate, today we pay out 70 to 85% of our creation, of our wealth creation, is paid out in some form of taxes.
Exactly.
So we're looking at right now living on a fraction of our wealth creation. So if we have a 10% default within the system because it's spread out amongst everybody, it would be super negligible compared to what exists today. And I don't think it'd be that much.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, there's always going to be the ones that don't pull their weight and
here's the thing. Once the Riegel system exists, it's going to very quickly bring people into line, because they're going to learn real quick that if they try to cheat the system, they're going to be ostracized. Their credit worthiness is destroyed. Who are they going to go try, to sucker in? Because very quickly it's going to, just like eBay's system that tells people that's looking at buying their stuff, it tells them how many, what their rating is. If someone has 100 sales and they have complaints on 20 of those sales, bam, they don't sell very much after that. Well, guess what? The same system, a similar type process exists within the Riegel, that your credit worthiness is public to everyone, and you build that. And that's if you mess that up by deliberately going out and trying to screw the system, then you're going to be ostracized from it very quickly, and you're not going to have a very pleasant life. No,
I totally get that. Again, and I always remind people and tell people that we're dealing in a situation of baby steps. I deal with, I countless people every day. I call them drive-through truthers. They're the first one to come up to the window looking for the the steak, the marinated steak that they're expecting to get at the same time as they get a 2-minute burger, and at 2.5 minutes they're already bitching and complaining. And then of course, what do you mean I have to pay for it? So, this is about deprogramming what has been indoctrinated into people. Because one of the things that I know for a fact, and I know for many of the people that do, and one of them's joining us right now, Santo, and yourselves, you and Deatra over there, haven't got a clue what value is. Too many people show up to the trough and keep. I'm going to try to bring this into the Riegel and how this kind of stuff gets corrected as well. For those that are actually putting in huge amounts of value into the community, huge amounts of hours, given huge amounts of their own personal resources to have people just ante up to the trough, and they do every day with me, every day. It's like as I was going to put it out. A little bit later, going to go on a bit of on a Kate rant just to try to snap people out of this illusion. Out of 1,000 emails I'll get, there might be 10 that are, what can I do? 3 will be what can I give, and the rest are what can I have? Gimme, and. That is really a symptom of the indoctrination and the program that has been going on. So I'm just wondering what the Riegel monetary system can do in terms of trying to break that program, where those that are really producing for the community. This is why I don't agree with any money system whatsoever. So you've picked a perfect host for this. So I really want to bring this to the fore with you.
Absolutely.
To try to get to that, I see it as a bridging, yes. How can you see the Riegel system starting to change that paradigm of absolute selfish greed, service to self bullshit that the system has got so deeply ingrained into all the little piggies out there?
Absolutely. But here's the thing that's going to aid in that. When people realize that they can, just by participating with the community, that they can create their own money. That's a biggie. If you really think about that, that's a biggie. Right now, you've got people that are scholars sitting in out in the open, cold and wet, and can't work. They cannot work.
Or driving a cab, or selling newspapers. I know it's pathetic. I mean, you got these idiots that don't know there are some hole in the ground making $10-15 million a year. Just because they're connected to someone that can rape other people of money. Yeah. Yeah,
and even you can take that same principle, Kate, as far as so much of the crime that goes on today. So much of the crime is because of rebellion against this corrupt system, where people know they're being ripped off and stolen from, and they don't want to participate. So, or of necessity, even people commit crimes. The world has never seen anything like what, as far as recorded history goes, the world has never seen anything exist, a situation exist, where people can have the potential to, the possibility of fulfilling their potential, where their only limitation is their abilities and their creative abilities and their mindsets and what they come into the world or what they build in the world. We've never had that before. Well, this is when the Riegel is implemented. This is what will exist for everyone on Earth, and just the usage of it alone will form a change of mindset. Will help people. It'll liberate people. There'll be so much more time. I can envision with our technology today, where that someone's has to work 40 hours a week and have the same income if they're an employee instead of self-employed, and do the same thing in 8 to 12 hours a week and receive all of their value instead of a tiny fraction of it. And there won't be the hidden charges of inflation in the background, which is just a hidden tax, eating what they make up today before they can spend it is devalued. It has less purchasing power. All this is going to stop. It's not perfect, and it's not where we're ultimately heading, but it is the one thing that can help us get there more than anything else that I have ever been able to reflect upon.
Yeah, it's about starting to bring things back into balance. Anyway, Santo, what are your thoughts? Did we lose Santo? Just check the room here, make sure we still got him. No, it looks like he's still there. Santo, are you there?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts? Questions for Lawrence, just with regards to transitioning out of what we've got right now through the Riegel system to the point where Kesha technology makes food for us?
Oh yeah, look, it's as Lawrence says, it keeps 100% of the wealth in your hands all the time. It's not being taxed, you know. So no one else gets their little bit by allowing us to use their intellectual property. We don't need their intellectual property, you know. So, and that's disappearing. Yeah, it's disappearing, isn't it? Right before our eyes. Banking. I mean, how many? I think they hanged. Did Dean Clifford mention they hanged 5 banksters in Iran last week?
Wow.
Yeah. And was that a story I saw about Iceland having hanged a bankster?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Did you see that, Kate? I'm sure it was getting around. It looked like that, but anyway, I don't think they do that sort of thing over there. But certainly they do in Iran. You know, that sends a message to the bankers.
Right. There's a lot of anger that's out there because people have got to this point, and you know, the wonderful thing here is that we don't have to be, as you guys speak about so much and so eloquently. I mean, it's just beautiful. But and it's such an absolute truth is that we don't have to be against anyone. All we have to do is be for ourselves and for humanity, and that's what the Riegel will help promote and allow for. We don't have that option under the present system, and so we don't have to be against anything. All we have to do is be for humanity and use the tools that God gave us through simple contract and the right of simple contract with each other, the ability to trade between ourselves and create our own credit, money through our credit worthiness that we exemplify in our actions. And you will be blessed for your efforts according to your abilities. And that's it. It's that simple. We're not all the same. We don't all have the ability to be rocket scientists, but yet that janitor on the street is just as important and has every right to be treated just as fair and square as that rocket scientist does right now, or anything else, or anybody else, or the doctor, or a heart surgeon. They have different skill sets and abilities, and some are more important because of their things, but at the same time, they're not more important as a human being and a person. And they have to have, everyone has to have, or needs to have, the same right to do according to their abilities. And we've never had that in our history before. And that's what this is going to change. I've done run way past my time here, guys. I didn't realize it. I'm sorry. But
are you apologizing for talking? Is this kind of normal? No. This is normal for talk radio? Carry on.
Well,
we're doing fine.
Didn't want to run into your time.
You're not. Hey,
just quickly, we don't have to be against anything. Period. This is a peaceful thing, as peaceful as anything can be, and we disempower them by empowering ourselves. It's that simple, and doing so brings balance. It doesn't do away with them. You don't have to destroy them. You don't have to discredit them or hate them. They're doing a job. And they're doing what they're doing because we have neglected ours through ignorance and apathy. And this is what's got to change. Jefferson said a couple of things here just real quickly. He said the issuing power, that's the money power, the power to issue and create money. He said the issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. And then he said one other thing that's really important for everyone to realize here. He said, I wish it were possible to obtain a single amendment to our Constitution. He said, I would be willing to depend on that alone for the reduction of the administration of our government. I mean an additional article taking from the federal government the power of borrowing. I now deny their power of making paper money or anything else a legal tender. I know that to pay all proper expenses within the year would, in case of war, be hard on us, but not so hard as 10 wars instead of one. For wars could be reduced in that proportion. Besides that, the state governments would be free to lend their credit and borrowing quotas. Well, the latter part is a misunderstanding because those men back there then didn't understand money any better than we do today. But he did get that, and it's super important. So we've got to change things here, and we have the total ability. We even have, even within this corrupt legal system of statutes and crap, we have every legal as well as every lawful right to do this very thing. There is no statute that precludes the people from creating their own money and using it, not one. Now, they'll try to tell you and bluff that that's the case, but they do not have that power unless we give them that power. And because it does not exist in statute. Every law that exists about money and legal tender, everything has to do, applies to themselves within their constitutions that limit themselves. And it applies to themselves. The people were not party to that, never have been.
No, I totally hear you. Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, again, for me, it is strictly a transition to get things sort of back. I mean, we got ourselves into this mess one drop at a time in terms of one ruse over the next ruse, over the next ruse, over the next ruse, over the next ruse, you know what I mean? And it's all, again, it's that whole paradigm of inequality. And you see, I'll bring another perspective to it. At least I'm going to try to show people where I see the other side of the bridge as we move across this, in that the singular gift to infinite and exponential creation. Singular intention, exponential creation. One seed creates one tree, which creates 100 apples, creates 5,000 seeds, which creates, and that's the whole idea of the gifting, and that's where I see man, or certain aspects of man, the ones that aren't the beast that Santo refers to, where mankind can start to develop, and that's why, for the most part, I see this place as a training ground to separate the wheat from the chaff, And I think the Riegel has got potential to start separating some of that wheat from the chaff, where, by people and their own choice, in terms of the able bodies, I like to leave the ones out that need our care, compassion, and attention, such as mentally handicapped, physically handicapped, the elderly, and the very young, where they are actually all part of the community responsibility, such as the way it should be with children as well. I mean, any child that anyone's bringing up inevitably becomes part of the community, and the community has no right to bitch if they didn't have any part of, helping develop the child. And as soon as we can get parents back down from their egos and think that their kid does no wrong, which for me is a very childish attitude for an adult anyway. It wasn't like that around my place, I'll tell you that much. Really, there's an issue, what you do. It was always to me, so it was, and I got it. It worked for me, but not everyone's going to be like that. But I see a wonderful transition that can happen. Again, this is when we speak of the balance you were talking about earlier, Lawrence. It's keeping that very careful balance in check so that we don't tip again back to the position where a very few can, by virtue of sheer production. There are some people that are way more productive than others, and I'll give you an example.
Yeah, there's many things there that help preclude that. The biggest thing here is, Kate, is based upon where we're so used to the definition of money, and let me find this here real quick. Like by our modern definition, we have money is 3 or 4 things, but 3 of them here are a medium of exchange, a measure of value, and we think of money as a store of value or savings medium. Okay, well, with commodity money, gold and silver, you can combine all those into one. And we often hear about, what's it backed with? Well, historically, more recently at least, we had gold and silver. That was one of the evolutions of money. because it went through commodity money, symbolic money, credit money, and what we're going into now with a Riegel system and others of such yoke is what's called credit clearing, and it's beyond political money. But I can't find it here. The definition, by that definition, you have a store of value or savings of medium. Well, on the one hand, money wants to be spent. It's created, it wants to be spent. Well, then on the other hand, as a savings aspect, if you have the same definition and reality and usage of money, well, then you want to save it. Well, those are totally incompatible odds with each other. And that's why what we've been told as money today is an impossibility. They've combined a whole bunch of stuff and convinced us that we're supposed to save it and all this. And how this relates to what you were saying, and it is not possible with real money. It's been a perverted definition of money. That's what screwed people up, and that's why it's a mystery to most people. With a proper monetary system like the Riegel, you're penalized if you hold money. So yes, people can produce and make as much money as they're capable of doing, but you're not going to sit there and hold it, because it has to be as it always historically has been, and as the very powers that be today do. When they make the money, it doesn't sit there in Swiss accounts all the time as money. It's converted into real assets.
Okay, I've got a couple of callers when you get a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, who's been on the longest? We got, area code 562394. Questions or comments for Lawrence? I'm waiting for your mic to come. There it is. You should be there now.
Hi, this is Art.
Hello, Art. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, you're there. You're on the air.
Great. Everything sounds really, really well thought out, and I've been on basically listening. I do have a question. I'm just curious if for Lawrence and also Kate and other hosts, if folks have seen the movie Thrive, from the Foster Gamble and what they think of Thrive in terms of the big picture of what's going on. I think that getting down to the communities is really vital at this point. Getting away from globalization is really vital, and bringing the power back to the people is really the big thing that we need to be working on. I follow the debt forgiveness. I think what Kate and everybody's doing on debt forgiveness is going to be key. Free energy, bringing sustainability to each community is key. And some of that talked about in Thrive. I'm just curious if you guys watched that and what you think. Thanks.
Yes, I thank you. I have watched the movie. I was very impressed with it. There's a few things I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched it, and I've got a bad memory in those kind of things where movies are concerned. But I did like it overall very much. Just about everything that you said, I totally agree with, and it's just absolutely. And I think your comments were very well worded and thought out. I do appreciate that. But yes, it was a good movie, and it does bring a lot of thought to the picture, and I do suggest that people watch it if they haven't. That is a good movie, yes.
Yeah, the website for that movie is thrivemovement.com for those who haven't watched it. It streams for free, so no excuses.
Right.
It's a good one. Okay, well, thanks, everyone. I'll go back on to listening. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the call, Art. Much appreciated. Yep. All right, we got another caller here. Area code 661-748. 661-748. Any questions or comments for Lawrence, Santo, or myself? Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I just, I've been listening, and I'm also in the process of going through the Divine Province, and as they always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. These guys spent many, many years putting this thing together. Kind of like here we are, we're starting on a new world, and it's going to be very difficult at first for us to have all the answers. I think that he's on the right path. Is getting rid of the system.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Right there. Well, we seem to have lost. I'll leave the line open for just to see if we can get back. Yeah, no, seriously, it's we got Magic Wand. We're going to make everything go perfect right now. So everybody sit back and don't do anything because we'll do it for you. Oh, wait a minute. You already have one of those. Yeah, so it's about taking base steps and breathing, guys. And, boy, I get inundated with that all day. So, caller, are you back? No.
Okay, Kate. I didn't get much. Or very little of what you said, and I lost the gentleman. So.
Yeah, looks like we lost him right off the bat.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Can you not hear me?
No, it's breaking up quite a bit, Kate.
What else is new, right? Yeah, par for course. Yeah, don't let Kate talk. Oh my God, don't let that happen.
Yeah, that's a little better now, Kate.
Oh yeah, as soon as I say it, as soon as I get aware of it, then he's paying attention. Better talk. Anyway, yeah, like I was going to say,
We totally lost you again.
Oh God, yeah. I was just trying to say, don't worry, guys. We have a magic wand. It will make everything perfect for you. Don't worry about it. New nanny state coming up, not a chance. Anyway, I'm bringing the caller back in. There we go. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, caller, you're back.
I'm back.
All right, start again. Broke up a lot, so start again.
You're breaking up. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead. I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
No, as I was saying, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it sounds like you're on the right track. We obviously know the issues with the current system, and we know that there is a better system. It would be nice. I like what Kate is saying as far as I think it is a bridge to where we need to be as enlightened beings and operating in honor. And unfortunately, as Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We've created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. And therefore, we have a lot of people who don't think, but we're very good at repeating everything that we've heard. And I owe Kate and Santos debt, of which I would never be able to repay them, because they really opened my eyes to a different world. Santos, I've been to his site, and Santos, if you're listening, I've read just about every book that's on your website. I've probably watched every video that you've put up, probably at least twice. And I have a connection with you because I'm 38, but I was born into a strong, fundamental, independent Baptist home, and I went door to door, and I did all that, and I judged everybody and everything, and if they didn't believe the way I believed, they were wrong, and I was supposed to be right because, I believed the Bible, and I didn't even know what the Bible taught. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. I think that one of the things that I was somewhat successful at when I was on their system was I used to be a real estate broker. I used to go around and speak and do real estate investment seminars. One of the things that we used to do is we would get together with other like-minded people, and we would do brainstorming sessions. And I think that one thing that we are going to have to do as we are on this path to a new world is a lot of enlightened people are going to have to get together, and we're going to have some brainstorming sessions on what we want our new world to look like. And because we live in a world of ideas, we've just adopted the ideas of people that have gone before us and the system they created. And so now we're coming up with some new ideas and new paradigm shifts. And for now, that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Well, That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And yes, even within the Riegel system, I said earlier I don't know everything here, and I don't. I have my skill sets and my talents, extensive research and knowledge in this area, but I don't know everything that as far as how the best way to do certain things. We need people. We need people really bad that lean toward, that first, we have to, anyone that gets involved must come to an understanding of the absolutes of money as Riegel taught, its relationship to freedom, liberty, prosperity, and balance, and all these things. And then, while I've spent years putting the back end and the basics and all this together, a lot of this needs to be discussed and finalized, and security's built into things that I need help with. We need to brainstorm, as this gentleman said, and because I don't want to be responsible for the final everything that comes forth. I'm limited, just like any one of us is, and we need people to get involved that can see the vision of a beautiful world, and of people being able to to live according to their capabilities and their potential, to have the time to study that we don't have so much the time to study now. That's one of the biggest big holdback that's built into the system, to keep us from having the time and resources to spend in the sciences and the and having the time and feeling like even many times to devote to learning about who we really are and our purpose in this world. And the Riegel will temporarily help to this end. So, we need people. And I invite everyone to go to my website, at RiegelExchange.com, and I'll spell it. If someone wants to post it somewhere, then please do. I'm not set up to do that right here, right now. But it's Riegel Exchange, one word. It's RIEGEL Exchange, just like it sounds, EXCHANGE.com. And read a couple of the beautiful quotes that Mr. Riegel stated there that talks about our responsibility in this world that we are experiencing today, that has become so uncomfortable for so many people, and it's deteriorating quickly, and how we can change all of that. There are no white horses. As Pete said other night, going to come in here and save us. God helps those who help themselves. Faith without works is dead. And we have everything, and God gave us everything. The Creator, the One, gave us everything that we need to bring a beautiful world into play here. And the Riegel can help us to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And it really boils down to taking the personal responsibility of the fact that, we are that Creator. We're all part of that Creator. And we can only help those that help ourselves. And in short, what that statement is saying is you got to help yourself, because you are part of the creation. You are created.
Right.
That's exactly what happened to us, is we've given away that Creator right to us that are using it in a malfeasant way. And it has led to wars, slavery, a massive dumbing down of populations worldwide.
Yep.
And what we're experiencing now is that reawakening, and the numbers are growing, and it's been a long time coming. Hey, Santo?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It happens at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stay on an overview with syncretism. Anything resonating with you as far as pulling things together there?
I think you asked about syncretism. Can you say that again? I'm not sure what.
Yeah. No worries. As far as syncretism, with you get a beautiful overview of everything working together. You get any resonance as far as this concept and you didn't hear me again, right?
Yeah, I think you're asking whether there's anything in what was discussed today about the Riegel system and whether it relates to syncretism, yeah?
Yep, that's exactly it. That's probably better. There was a bit of background noise from the call. I was still active. I thought the I grabbed it. No problem. Anyway, so can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, it can't. But anyway, I'll go on. Yes, but yeah, of course there is. You know, this system is all about know thyself. The Riegel system. It's all about know thyself. If you know yourself, you're not going to buy into some scam and support parasites that do nothing. And so, yeah, it is. It's all syncretism. This is a big part of syncretism. This is a very, very important part of it. Very important. It has to do with our well-being. You see, it's the wealth, not in terms of possessions and things, but it's the true wealth returned to us that will make us, will contribute to our development and evolution too. This
Absolutely,
financial, yeah. The world is waiting for this. It's waiting for a system like this where we can exchange energy equally and not be defrauded in the process, and just transfer energy and love, and that's the true currency, because that's what currency is, as you explained. It comes from electrons and what have you, electrical exchange, currency. Yeah. So, it's all about syncretism, guys. And while we're talking about electricity, let me just add this one, because, as you know, I'm sort of running behind schedule with my presentations. In my mind, I'm about 30 presentations behind schedule, and simply because I'm a one-man operation, and it's hard to get stuff out when you're doing that. But anyway, I finished editing first part of syncretism. It's on the internet. It's had 300 hits already. Get it out there, guys. Get that video out there, because at first I was pretty depressed when I played it back. I thought I was rather rather dull. But anyway, I finished editing all the noises and dead bits, etc., and it's come up pretty good. So have a look at it. But I'm very disappointed. I always am when I do a presentation, because I leave so much good stuff out, and I just want to share one thing that I left out with the audience today, okay? I didn't get a chance to, because I had about 400 things that I didn't get through that I was supposed to do. Therefore, I'm going to do 2 more syncretism presentations and offer them as a series, because I need about 12 hours of video time to get out my new stuff. But here is the most important thing that I need to get out to humanity now that I didn't include. And it's this. Guys, in all of the health traditions in history, if you go to a Tai Chi master or you go to a Feng Shui master, whoever you go to in the East and even in the West, they knew this science. They knew that you must, when you pray, when you meditate, when you do all your spiritual stuff, when you go within, always put the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Okay? And you'll see how important that is when you watch the syncretism video, okay? Because, and I needed to get this out and spread this far and wide, guys. But the scriptures actually mention this. Psalms 137. Hey? No, I couldn't get that, but I just want to repeat. You want me to repeat?
Again. Yes. That's what I want.
Repeat it again, yeah?
Yes.
Am I breaking up too, am I?
No, you're okay, Santos.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. In everything we do, and in particular in your meditation, whatever sort of yoga you're doing, I do theurgy, and theurgy is Western yoga. And this is something, too, that I need to get out about theurgy and henosis. So write those words down, theurgy and henosis, and learn about the Western yogic spiritual system that we have that is equally as competent as anything that the East offers. And that's what I practice, and it's pure magic. Now, when you do your yoga, whatever you're doing, you're walking down the road, have your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. Okay? And this is what happens. All the Tai Chi masters and all the great gurus teach this, you see. We've forgotten this wisdom. But with the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth, that closes the breaker that will allow the solar plexus to rise and bring the Christ oil up the spine. The tongue acts as a circuit breaker for the electrical energy. It actually passes through the mouth before being routed back to the spine above the atlas. Now, this is in the Bible. Have a listen to this. Psalm 137:6, and notice the word Psalm has an S-A-L in it. Salvation, salt, saliva, salary, all of those holy words. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Lamentations 4:4. The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth. Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I really hope you can, because look at the word psalm, P-S-A-L-M, saliva, the P is Greek, right? Or sorry,
you broke up. No, Kate, you broke up too much. Just remember what you just said, and then if in 5 minutes it comes back...
I've already got it. Wait, go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, okay, so I'm at the middle of Lamentations 4:4. So cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. Get this, guys, thirst. You know, when you're thirsty, the young child ask bread, and no man breaketh it into them. Now, this is a very, very, very subtly... This is very occult wisdom that's in this verse, guys. It's all about raising the kundalini up the spine. If you do not place your tongue under the roof of your mouth, you don't ascend the oil. And it's very crucial that that gets out there. And I've just come into that information in the last, say, month and a half or something like that. But I've been too busy to sort of get that out, and I keep forgetting. But anyway...
It's just a quick deal. That's really interesting, because I read this something on that very thing here not a week ago, Santos, and I blowed it off. And here you are talking about it in a very detailed way. Wow.
Yeah, Lawrence, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yeah.
This was P, which is liquid breath, salt, which is salt earth, and the M is the above heaven, right? The mirror of the video below. So we're dealing with liquid breath and salt as above. So to me, that makes total sense. What the songs are the electrical connection prayers, if you will, for your word.
Okay. No, it's broken up too much. But I did hear a little bit. You were talking about the liquid breath. I remember we had this conversation just recently. Yeah, liquid breath. It'll come to me in a minute, but yeah.
I wrote it down in the Skype.
Okay, I'll grab that off you.
In the Skype right, it's there right now. I wrote it for you.
To me.
What said? Look from the diagram and set up a few and ask. I just posted there.
No, can't. Nothing sent to me.
I have here that P equals rho or RHO, which equals liquid breath, plus Sal, plus M, which equals as above, heaven.
There it is. Yep, okay. Yeah, that's right. Anya, that's it. Beautiful, Kate, that's it. Rho, okay. We've been talking, what you're going to learn about when you watch the syncretism video presentation is about the character Ra. Everything is about Ra. Everything. Everything. And I've said in my presentations, everything is about Sol, the sun. It's all about the sun. All of our logos, all of our names, everything is always goes back to the origin of the sun. And that's why Ra is so prominent. And Rho, Ki Ro, which is Christo, the Ro means liquid breath. You see? And, yeah, Kate discovered that. And then plus Sal, the salt, and plus M as above, so below. So, yeah. You got that? Is that right, Kate?
And we will make above to
yeah. Anyway. No, you broke up. But anyway, guys, I needed to get that out. I can elaborate much more on that. I've got a lot of notes that I want to share. I was going to share them in the presentation, but that's a little bit for now, because there's a lot to discover about the body and how beautifully it was designed. And deliberately, we've been dumbed down to to hate the body. In the churches, the body is evil. In the medical world, they don't care much about bodies. They infest animals in laboratories to develop drugs that have vicious side effects on the physical organism, deliberately to poison humanity. And so they don't want this information, and they poo-poo the Eastern schools that teach things about putting the tongue up into the mouth. I've got other scriptures here that I can prove the Bible knows this science. Wow. Anyway, people, be free, be free. Look, watch that presentation, please, and you'll do yourself a big favor.
This is awesome, Santos. I tell you what, I can't wait to. I didn't know you had this out, and I can't wait to get on there and listen to this myself. You guys are just so totally amazing, and because of my own journey, especially this last 5.5, 6 years now, well, the last 5 to 5.5 years, I've learned from my own studies and research and experienced them as well, so much of what you all have been teaching, and it's just beautiful. But you've even helped expand that for me, and I can't thank you all enough. Just a little bit every time I get to hear you, it's more wisdom and knowledge and truth and tidbits, kernels of beauty that you bring forth. So thank you all so much, and I truly do thank you all for having me on here tonight. And I hope that I've helped some listeners out to want to look into the Riegel system more.
Absolutely. I know you can. I never give me right. Am I getting on? Can you guys hear me?
No, it's a bit. It's breaking up. Shame you can't. Shame you can't hang up and then call back, Kate.
I'm good at call right back.
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay.
All right. Look, I'll just take the board then for just a minute or two. Lawrence, thanks for that. Because you appreciate what we're doing. The information that I've released in Syncretism, the True Theology. That's what I've titled it. Syncretism, the True Theology. I'm here. I'm a musician. I'm just me. Kicking along, and I'm teaching the true theology. This is disgraceful that the priests and the churches have got no idea of this. In their stupidity, they teach filth to people about Jesus and about Christianity and about it. They don't know their beautiful languages. The scriptures are beautiful literature that they like swine trample upon pearls. They're buffoons.
Right.
And I've exposed them. But what I wanted to say, Lawrence, is that people have died for what I'm revealing in this presentation in the past. Many people have died. Many of our brothers, guys. Many of them. But the time has come. There are some big revelations in my presentation. Some biggies. Some real biggies. And I've been a researching. I've really been researching. I've been a good boy. I've had my nose in books, and in the meantime, I've had to move house. I've had to, God, the trauma that I've gone through in the last couple of months. But I've got this out anyway, and I'm going to do another presentation in the middle of November somewhere there, when I get some time to think and chill out and relax and gather my notes together. But I've got notes piled up to the heavens, and I've exposed some big truths that it'll boggle your mind that you didn't notice them before. Just things that stand out, and it'd be great to thrash these points out next week.
Right.
And have a good go at it. Just thrash them all out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for that. I appreciate that because it's dangerous. My life. It's not in danger, but it's in other. What I'm trying to say is that in other settings and in other eras, my life would have been in danger, man. It would have been very risky. Giordano Bruno perished. He was killed for saying pretty much exactly the same stuff that I'm teaching now 400 years later.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Go figure. I was trying to get on with my other computer, but it's not happening either. But I was going to say we did have one other caller in, but we've got like 2 minutes left. Do you guys want one last question if they have a question?
Yeah, go.
Okay, here we go. Caller, area code 920-265. You are on the air. Questions or comments?
Go ahead, caller.
I just be listening.
Yeah, must be just listening.
Just listening. Put it back on hold. Okay. All right. So, Lars, thanks again for coming on tonight. So thanks for. Anyone hear me?
Okay, no, you broke up too much.
I can't hear anything.
No,
Okay.
that's gone. You got up to where you were thanking me, and then it just... No, still no good. Can't hear a thing. Just, I'll close out. Yep. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we've got all these good shows lined up. I forget the schedule of all the shows, but they're pretty much, there's 4 or 5 during the whole week, and Dietra's are looking after everybody, and myself included. I've got mine on, which is Monday, the every Monday at 10 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time, and you've got all this great stuff on Freedom Reigns. Thanks, Lawrence. Absolutely
Thank
wonderful.
you very much for having me.
Yeah,
And
you
again,
should join us.
invite anyone to go to regalexchange.com and please contact me and get involved, and let's change our world. As for my part, I've said since I've been on the after shows for over a year, or as I used to back last year when I was on, and I closed out, and I've heard you guys say this, and it's so important to me and so real, is that for myself, as Gandhi always said, be the change that you want to see. And so that's all I would say in closing for myself here, and thank you all so much.
Yeah, Lawrence, is there any way to donate to Riegel? How can we, can you tell people to help, please?
Well, we have it on the freedomreigns.us website and also on my own regalexchange.com website. We have some very, very, a lot of technical work that must be done as far as Java coding, high-end Java coding, to convert the present software to be compatible with the Riegel system completely. And that's beyond me. I can do HTML, but the heavy Java code is beyond me. And we also have to host it on there's only 2 servers in the U.S. that can host this particular high-powered software. So I need help. I've done a lot, but I can't do it all by myself. And we can get this demo up live. Well, then it will open the world up to a lot of people.
Okay.
Well, I think that was Kate saying we might be offline. Is that right, Kate?
Right.
We're off the air. Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's recording. Just letting you know. It's
okay.
Recording. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, Kate, we better get off to go on to QLP because Johnny's calling.
Okay. Much love to you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Love you guys all very much. Goodbye now.